Welcome to the Spirit of a Badass, where we celebrate stories of courage, hope, and resiliency. I'm your host, Alecia Jacobson. Hello, my badasses. How are we today? Welcome to today's episode. Before we get started, I need to let you know that you are on bread time. What is bread time? Bread time means I just put a loaf of bread in the oven, and it has 30 minutes until I have to get up and take a cover off. So we will be wrapping this episode up within 30 minutes so I can go tend to my bread. Today's episode actually is so this is going to air a little earlier than it was supposed to because I was inspired this morning and it's the topic I was going to talk about anyway, but I am really going to harness this inspiration and the kind of energy that I got this morning at a talk that I was at the Dream Bank. If you haven't heard of the Dream Bank, it is a local to Madison space for dreamers. I've done a couple of talks there. They have something called the Dream Summit, which will be coming out. So this will come out Tuesday, the 11th, I believe. And their Dream Summit is actually after that. So if you're listening to this, I would highly recommend it. It's really cool. I went to a talk in person today. The one next Thursday will be virtual. But I went to a talk in person from Valerie Burton, and she was talking about resiliency, which is something, as you know, I have a little bit of experience with and I talk about on here. But she also talked about this notion of positive psychology, which at first I was like, what the fuck? Positive psychology. You know, I talk about how I am I have a pull towards the negative and I'm a little bit just pessimistic. You know, I see the negative. I know like, oh, I don't want that. And I know that because it's like the negative part of it. So it helps me figure out what I do want. So it's informative. However, it's not the most joyful way to live. And I kind of got like, I wanted to talk about this idea of kind of gratitude because I think it's hot in November with Thanksgiving, but which actually makes me not want to talk about it because I hate doing what everybody else is doing. But kind of this idea of where your energy goes is what happens. What you focus on is what you're going to get more of. And way back when I first began my sort of self-discovery journey, I was just, you know, the conductor of the crazy train of reading I dove headfirst into reading all of these books on how to be a better person, how to change my mindset, all of these things, just immersed myself in them. And, you know, I've gone through cycles of I cannot work on one more thing on myself. Like that has to take a break. And I'll listen to different kind of books where you can just lose yourself in the book instead of what can I improve on myself today. And my daughter came in a couple nights ago as we were doing bedtime, and she's my youngest, and she has this just beautiful imagination and way of moving through her world and thinking. And she comes in and it's bedtime and I'm just kind of waiting to get the next one to bed. And she goes, Mom, you want to hear my dream theme? I'm like, your dream theme? Yeah, tell me, what's your dream theme? And she starts telling me how before she goes to bed, she thinks about what she wants the theme of her dream to be. And my son had been home for a day this last weekend for Halloween. He came back so he could spend it in downtown Madison. And he is really into Star Wars. And he gave her, I don't know anything about Star Wars, but he gave her this like action figure. And she then went like deep dive into the dream that she was, you know, creating for herself that had to do with this guy. And I don't remember all the details of it, but she essentially was like, what I used to do and what I, you know, tell people is think about what you want and then you can create it. You attract it to you. And one of the things I used to do before I went to bed was think about what do I want to dream about? Although sometimes one time we're going to go off on a little, shiny object here. This was back when I was married before and we were living in an apartment and purchasing our first house. I was full in on, what renovations are we going to do? And that's when HGTV first came out. And I started having weird dreams about house renovations. So there came a point where I had to stop my whole dream theme thing. And then also like Taylor Swift album comes out and I find myself singing it in my sleep. And that's like, okay, girl, you have to lay off. So I have to find a nice balance of my version of a dream theme. But my child is 8 and she's coming in telling me this about how she's trying to create the dream, the kind of dream that she wants to have at night. And like, how fucking brilliant, you know? And so then I'm thinking as I'm going to bed, I'm like, oh, like maybe I need to get back to this. I'm on the verge of sharing this kind of monthly experience that I'm going to be sharing with you all. And I was like, okay, so what could my dream theme for the month be? And I kind of came up with being a little bit more joyous and playful. So as I'm going to bed, I'm thinking, I want to be more joyous and playful. And what would that look like? And of course, it took me forever to fall asleep then. And then I woke up in the morning and that's what I thought about was how can I go through my day? And this is specifically with my family. I don't need to be playful out in the world. That there's enough playful people that they don't need me. But my children call me out because I feel like you can't have two fun and funny parents. And I am definitely the like, we got shit to get done parent and I got to keep the train going. And I can't be riling you up at bedtime because you got to go to fucking bed, But anyway, they have called me out on my inability to be a little bit funny and playful. So I was going to try this on and I'm like, I can try it on for a month. Like that will work. So I'm kind of playing around with this idea of my daughter's dream theme and mine is a little more playful and joyous. And then I go to this event today at the Dream Bank and she's talking about this like positive psychology and, what you think about and, where you put your focus. And I'm like, okay, thank you, universe. You have very loudly now put this into my lap. And it kind of got me thinking about, just going back to basics. Like this is shit that I did all the time. And I think that there are some times where you have to pull out the kind of tried and true things that work and try them on again and see what it looks like. And it will, fit differently and it will look differently because that was, 13 years ago that 14 years ago. Shit. It's crazy how life passes, it's just crazy. And what we do matters, what we do with it. So anyway, I am looking at what does it look like to focus more on what we want and how do we do that intentionally and make a practice out of it. And what do we fucking want? As I was laying there, I was like, I could, do the traditional, what am I grateful for? But I actually I hate gratitude practices. And some people, it works great. And if you are that person, by all, like, more power to you. I hate journaling. I hate gratitude practices. I just don't, it does not work for me. I like to be in my head and my family probably drives them nuts because they'll talk to me and sometimes I talk back and I'm all up planning things up in my noggin. But I think what I am planning on doing, because this has been just knock, 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 I'm here, pay attention to me, is having a practice and thinking, what do I want my dream theme to be right now? And how am I going to intentionally use this idea of focusing on what I want more of? We can see these, way back in the day when I was a 4K teacher. It wasn't called 4K back then. I just taught preschool. That was what, I don't know if I've shared this before, but way back when I actually wanted to open a preschool / daycare. And that was what I wanted. That was my entrepreneur goal, was to do that. And I took the education classes, I didn't actually not not like an education degree. It was the 2-year associate degree. And then I got to the end of it and I was like, no, I don't want to do this. And thank God I didn't, because all of the shit and policies and like I wouldn't, I cannot manage people. I would have failed. However, I did get a lot out of it, and I loved working with children. I was so playful back then. Like I was the best. But I think I'm older now and I am different. And that's when I switched to working with adults, because I was like, they show up because they want to and they listen. And I need that in my life. But back in the day, when you're working with a kid, it's like, what do you want more of? You call that out in them and you highlight that, you get more of that. But if you're just constantly ragging on them for the shit that they're doing wrong, that's all you see. But if you set out to see things differently, you see things differently. Much like the 7, I might be saying it wrong, whatever, the John Gottman, the healthy marriage. I can't remember the name of the book, but I went and I took that certification for the Gottman level 1 therapy, what it is. I just wanted to learn more about relationships and things like that. And I did you can look on my Instagram. This was, gosh, I don't even know how, 2019. I did a whole series on these kind of questions inside the book. And I worked through it with you on Instagram, but your focus was on these good, positive things. And I think I've gotten a little jaded with it lately, because it's like, okay, yes, you want to focus on the positive, but you got this fucking shit that has to get fixed. And how do you can't just ignore it. I think I decided to just blow up my life at the same time. And maybe toxic positivity was around before that. I don't fucking know, because I wasn't into it. I was just not into anything. But I just was like, ooh, toxic positivity. Let me wear you. I will like drape myself in you and I will radiate you out to everyone and vomit. So I think now when I hear like even the word positive, I'm like, bleh. But I can't remember what she said that the positive psychology was, but it's essentially, I think it was like just focusing on what you want more of. And I used to do that. And I actually felt good. I felt good. And I think there's something to that. And in reflecting back, and not that I don't feel good now, like I feel good now, but I think I can feel better and I don't need to fix anything. However, I do believe that if I start focusing on the delightful things in life, the glimmers is a big word that you hear right now. What are the glimmers? And I do, like, this morning, the clouds were really cool outside. And a couple nights ago, we had a really beautiful sunset. And I'll see, like, my favorite time right now, although I'm not a fan of the cold weather, I do love our 2 front trees. They're this beautiful red color. And so I love seeing them and they bring me joy. So I do that kind of stuff and appreciate the world around me and the people that I met and talked to today. There was a woman who kind of shared her story with me, and it's just, people are beautiful. People's stories are beautiful, and you just never really know. And I think seeing more of that and having more interactions, and I don't know what this might be for you, but I do think that there is a couple of different things. Is what you focus on, you're going to get. So if I had one client who, she was in a job. I know I've shared her story before. She was in a job that she hated. She came to me for career coaching and how do we find another job? Well, it turned out with some mindset work, her job was just fine. She just needed to change what she was focusing on. And when she changed her focus and her mindset around it, she actually really enjoyed her job and the people that she worked with. But she was going in with, and she wasn't a negative person. She was delightful. But her attitude around her work and what she thought she should be doing, there was a disconnect. And once we kind of closed that gap, she really fucking enjoyed her job and the people that she worked with, which was complete opposite from when we started together. And I think we all have this space where it's like, what are we focusing on? Are we focusing on the shitty commute? Are you focusing on the person with the shitty attitude and ruminating over it and constantly, dreading it and talking about it and putting your energy into it? Or are you focusing on the things that are going right, the things that are going well, the things you're really excited for, the anchors in your life? Are you, and I did a podcast, I don't know what episode, on anchors. I think that was like a year and a half ago, sometime in season 2. But where are you putting that energy? And it really fucking matters. When I first started, I read the Success Principles by Jack Canfield. He did like the chicken soup books, and that like legitimately changed my life, because that was my first eye opening of, oh, you are focusing on all the wrong things, all the wrong things. And once I started shifting that in a very aggressive, big way, just blowing up my whole life, everything started to change. And I think kind of, you might call it a rut. I'm not in a rut, so I don't, but some people call it like a rut, or it feels stale. I think it can be helpful to kind of look back. And so this is kind of twofold. One, I think we need what you focus on, you're going to get more of. But two, I'm bringing this up because this is something that has worked for me in the past. And sometimes what has worked in the past, like worked, like tried and true, not like I did 2-a-day exercise classes and ate 1,000 calories and I dropped 20 pounds before my wedding. Like, I am not talking about that kind of shit. Okay. Let me just be very, very clear. Like, did that work for weight loss? Hell yeah, it fucking did. Is it good for your long-term health? Fuck no. Okay. So that is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like the tried and true things that work, and maybe revisiting them. I have my in the flow chart. You can message me if you want it, but it's basically the wheel of life that I have used. And it's in this like block form where you look at the different areas of life when you are in flow, when things are going well, and what are you doing? Like, what am I doing? I am exercising. I am walking. I am out. And I say this, like, I am out with people. Like, I know that today going to this event, which I almost bailed on this morning, it energized me, and I have to be around people. And I know that I also struggle to go out into the world and to be around people. It's just this like push and pull that I have. And all of my introverts out there that work from home also, 100%, I know that you know what I'm saying. But it also is so good for me. So looking at the things that are good for you, that have worked, if you are feeling any sort of, and again, I didn't even know, like my daughter literally just came in and said this, and I've had a couple of these like ping, ping, hello, pay attention to me, where I'm like, oh, I do remember. And I was so energized listening to Valerie today. And you get that, you go to these events and you're like energized, and then it's like, okay, how do you follow through with it? How do you take it through? So my first step is coming here, which I was already coming to record anyway. This was just going to be a later in the month recording, so you're getting it early. But how do you capitalize on that? How do you make sure that you're going to be intentional with it? And I am queen of reminders. So there's going to be reminders in my phone of just having this really intentional, what am I focusing on? And being more playful. Yesterday, oh my gosh, okay, so this is my version of playful. This is kind of fucked up. I baked muffins with my daughter. Usually I will bake them and give them to them, and maybe they'll come over and like crack an egg or something, but I called her down and she did all of it. I struggled big time with just let her do it. It doesn't matter. And I know some people like they're like, oh, like baking, like I bake with my kids all the time. I don't do that. There's just some things that I don't do. So I'm really intentionally going to look at each day and say, what does it look like for me to infuse this sort of playful fun into my day? And this is hard for me. I guarantee you, I have stacks. I don't know how a lot of you organize your life, but I live in notebooks and I don't throw them away. So I have notebooks back from 2011. And I guarantee like one time in each of them, there will be some version of this goal of being playful, because it doesn't come innately. I really have to work hard at it. And I think my kids really appreciate it, but it is not a natural is not natural for me. So I have to work hard. So I started out with baking muffins and that was that. But I'm going to be intentional each day. It's what does this look like? And also, where's my focus? How do I focus on the things that I want more of? So, even for myself, where do I notice maybe that I am being playful already? But also then I have to think like, do my kids actually, do they feel this playfulness in me? Because I think sometimes it's lost in translation. So looking at your life, are you maybe putting your focus in the wrong direction? And it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Like, again, we have to find this kind of duality with recognizing, yeah, this shit, I don't want it. And you can still work on getting rid of it, but also what do you have that is going well and what do you want to create more of? And how can you give that? Water the fucking shit and fertilize that, right? Like give it the sunshine and watch it flourish because your girl did this. Like I was like queen of this. And I need a little bit more green grass in my life right now to fuel that joy that I'm looking for. So where in your life do you need to shift your focus? And just an invitation for a dream theme. Like what does it look like for you? And maybe yours is different daily. I like to work monthly because that just is a nice chunk of time that is very doable for me. And I can just be very intentional for a short period of time. I'm more of a sprinter and a month feels like a sprint to me. So that's just my invitation to you. And also go check out the Dream Bank. It was just, if you're local, going there, they have like co-working spaces for free, all these free talks. I've done some free talks for them that are out there on their website or the internet, but they have the Dream Summit, which it was just a really lovely experience this morning. And the next one, like I said, is going to be virtual, but the talk that Valerie did this morning, it hit a spot in me that needed a little fire. So I was really appreciative of that. And she has a new book out about resiliency, which I think has some really, just applicable points in it that I think can be helpful. It's on resiliency. It's something that like, I think that I am pretty good at resiliency in this, but I feel like sometimes when even if you're like, oh, I've got that, I think hearing it differently from different people can be really helpful because I think each person has a message that hits a little bit differently. And so even if it's something where you're like, oh, I got that, I really just think there's value in hearing things from different folks because they each have a different past, a message that kind of comes with it. And that could speak to you in a way that maybe you haven't heard it before. And that can just, deepen the learning. So highly recommend. All right. Oh, I have actually 2 show and tells for you today. One, my outfit. Okay. I know you cannot see it. However, my child today, so I had to go out into the world and I am wearing my Nuuly outfit. I've talked about Nuuly on here before. I will tag it because you get $30 off if you use this code that I have. And I also get $10 off if you use the code that I give you. But I'm wearing this pink sweater and I have these light colored denim, like wide leg jeans on. It's like you rent it for a month, right? So I come out. I don't even have my full top on. I have like my tank top that I'm not wearing and these jeans. And my daughter looks at me and she's like, oh, Mom, you're looking good. And then I came downstairs, both my girls, one says, I can see why did you wear this on your first date? I can see why daddy dated you. Maybe this is inappropriate for my children, but we are a little bit romantic around them. So they're very like, oh, you're such a cute couple. And then my other one was like, Mom, you look so beautiful. So I have on a very cool outfit. So highly recommend Nuuly for things like it's a little bit more trendy. And I live in gym clothes. So if you're looking to kind of spice up your wardrobe a little bit, highly, highly recommend. And also when I had my episode a little while ago, I talked about having my great grandpa's lawnmower painted, not the actual lawnmower, like a painting of the lawnmower. And that it was something I was going to do years ago and I didn't do. And I'm going to show it here. And maybe I'll make a reel of this. Who knows? But I had the lawnmower painted because, well, the story is that when I got divorced, I moved into my great-grandparents' home and I had to mow the lawn. I was using their lawnmower and I had never done lawn care before, except for when I was like a teenager and I just fucked around outside. And so this was sort of this, when I look at it, it gives me the feeling of like, it truly gives me the feeling of like resiliency and badass, and that I can do anything that I put my mind to doing. And which is, I mean, it's a lawnmower, it's kind of silly, but like that is what this picture embodies. So I had it professionally watercolor painted and I'm so excited about it. So I've got all these neat paintings and stuff that I have. I don't know where I'm putting them yet, but all sorts of things. So, all right. Hey, timer didn't go off yet. Bread time, winning. All right. Have a fabulous week. I'd love to hear your feedback. I will put the link to the Dream Bank event in the link so that if it's something that you're like, oh, that sounds interesting, it is online. So I'll put it there and you can check it out. If it sounds good to you, I'll put the Newly link for these clothes because I have to post a picture. I normally don't do things like that, but I do. I look so cool, like cool. So that's exciting. And yeah, all right. Have a good day and I'll talk to you next time. Spirit of a Badass is a Lit Path Studios podcast and is produced by Jamie Gale and Alecia Jacobson. Music by Shane Ivers. We'll be back with another inspiring interview. Until then, keep your spirits high and your energy badass.